what I would say is, at the very least, whether you guys make the playoffs or not, at the very least, you guys are making yourself attractive.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the only reason Kyrie and Kate, well,
Who would have thought? Who would have
Kyrie
thought?
wanted to play for the Nets. So I'll give it that. But the only reason both of them came
Hmm.
is because the Nets made the playoffs the year before.
Yeah.
And they played with a bunch of nobodies. The only person people knew on the team was D'Angelo Russell. Nobody knew anybody else on that
Oh
team.
yeah.
But he was balling out. He made the All-Star team that year. Spencer Dinwiddie was balling out. So it's like, oh, the Nets kind of know what they're doing. Let's go over there.
Yeah.
That's why they went. So at the very least, Tom Thibodeau is making you guys look attractive. So maybe I'm not gonna say it's true because you guys are still owned by Dolan.
I would knock on wood, but that clearly doesn't help the Knicks in any way.
No,
It doesn't matter. Listen, Dolan's ownership has been bad. We all know that. The players know that. That's why the Knicks have been so unattractive for the last, I'd say, decade.
more
Since we
than
got
that, like
Melo,
30 years.
since we got Melo and Stoudemire, for the time, Chandler, names that came in, and we got a playoff push in 2012 that looked pretty promising. It was the years after that where we had guys like Shumpert and JR coming up big, big, big. And we just let them walk, or we traded them.
Yeah. Right. You
And
traded JR
Stoudemire
back
wasn't.
to the Cavs. Yeah, I remember.
Stoudemire was not the the dominant guy that we thought he was going to be at that point in time. After 2012, Melo turned into this idea of a superstar that was too big to be true for New York. Is, I guess, the only way I could put that. And that's hard to do. I mean, it's New York, but to play as hard as he did for such little outcome. Just
You
you
know
look
why
at
though?
guys. You look at guys who even like Bradley Beal. But
He
but what were you gonna say?
yeah, before we get to Bradley Beal, because we got to
Yeah,
talk about
that's
that too.
no,
But
yeah,
Melo, the reason why Melo failed in New York is because he didn't know how to take a back seat to anybody.
well, that's no, you're absolutely
That's
right about that. Yeah,
that stretch of Linsanity.
yeah,
Remember, Melo was hurt. That's the only reason why Jeremy
Jeremy
Lin
Lin.
even got the ball.
But
So
even
when
still,
Melo,
Jeremy Lin wasn't going to be a superstar in New York.
no,
He
he
was going to
wasn't.
be a player to
100%
notice.
was had no shot.
No,
But you ride the hot hand. Melo
yeah,
came back from his injury and said, "Give me the ball." And it's like, bro, you can still drop 30, as we can see with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden all scoring 25 a game. You can still get your 25. You can still get your 30. But
yeah,
let Jeremy Lin eat too. You don't have to touch the ball every time down the court.
hmm,
Sometimes you can be a decoy. That's how you win championships. Steph Curry sometimes would know I'm not shooting the ball this time down the court. So let me run off these screens, run around like a maniac while KD's standing in the corner and he's gonna get an open shot because everyone's looking at me. Sometimes you have
yeah.
to be the decoy.
And do you think, even, I guess, to finalize that on Melo, he's kind of learned his role in a team
Yeah,
like
now
Portland,
100%.
even in Houston before Portland, which is why teams wouldn't sign him until he went to Portland. He
Mhm.
didn't know how to take the back seat. They wanted him to come into Houston and kind of be the sixth man off the bench, but would still just hog the ball. He was still a ball hog. And with Harden in Houston at that point, even with he was with CP3, I think at that
Mhm.
point,
At that
um,
time, yeah.
it didn't make sense. The Rockets obviously had no plan for them, but yeah, it's just yeah.
The issue with Melo, because if they did an interview with Paul George, and
Mhm.
Paul George said the reason why it didn't work out in OKC is not because of Melo.
Yeah.
When Melo got signed, he said, "I have a lot to bring to the table. I will accept any role. Just make sure you use me."
Mhm.
They dropped him as like the 10th man on the bench. He would come in for 15 minutes a game. He's like, "Bro, I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Stop disrespecting me." So he was
And I
like,
think
now I
people
want to
thought that.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul George was like, him and Westbrook even went to ownership and was like, use the man. Like he
Yeah.
might not be Mellow of 2012, but
No.
use him. Don't have him sitting on the bench, and they never used him. So he was like, yo, I'm
It
still
was
better than
bad.
half of these people. He still is to this day. He's
Yeah,
still better than most of the people in this league. He could still drop 40 on a night if he wanted to.
it was pretty shocking that for a year, oh, maybe half a year, no one signed Melo
No one
because
touched
it
him.
was weird. It was weird to see him one just not on a team because he didn't look close to retirement, and then two, when it came to even I guess what started the whole conversation of why would anyone sign Melo was the analytics aspect, which was his efficiency rating. Just uh, again, like we can go in depth with analytics at any level of any sport, but when it comes to players who can play, Melo has always been there, no matter the role he's in, whether he's the ball hog, whether he's taking a back seat. Melo will play for you. OKC didn't do that. Houston didn't do that. Portland now started to do that. And in the playoffs last year in the bubble, Melo showed out when he could. He showed out
Mhm.
when he could. When he was given the opportunity, he showed out.